Hi, welcome to the defrost section of this Winterize Your Car video series. This is number 6, and we're going to talk about getting your car to defrost properly. Of course, we're talking about fogging windows on the inside. When the windows fog, they freeze, and then you got ice on the windows. So the best thing to do is just get them to defog properly. And on your car, the button, what do you call the button? It's defrost. That's why I call it video defrost. So naturally, to get your windows to defrost, you can push a button for the grid for the back window, and if that doesn't work, we've got some stuff for you in this video. It can either be the terminal for it, or it can be a grid repair that's necessary. So we're going to cover both of those. As for your windshield, you naturally push defrost, but there's two other things that you should really pay attention to. If you have air conditioning in the vehicle and you have a button to turn the AC on, if it lights up it says AC, make sure it's lit up, push it. No, you're thinking to yourself, I don't want AC, I don't want to freeze myself out. Trust me, this works. Now, the reason why things fog up is when you get warm, moist air and cold air coming together, but you fight fire with fire. If you have your window cracked, or if you have it on fresh air, if you don't have AC, then that's great, but always make sure to have it on fresh air too. Don't have it on recirculation. It's all, if you're in your car and you're just mouth breathing, can't see, you know, that's going to get on the windshield. And also, when you have it on defrost and on your feet, what that does is it causes that all that snow and mud and water, everything that you tracked in, tends to get circulated up through the car. So you want to have fresh air or something to that effect. You know, either by having the window cracked and or having your car set to just fresh air to come in. You know that little circle arrow thing that you have a button for? Make sure that's not lit up. So you got air conditioning, defrost on, and not recirc. You do that, you're just going to be okay. I've seen a number of cars, especially Fords, you know, like on the Ford Escorts and stuff, people were actually having lawsuits and stuff about it being too foggy. And so then Ford put a little label that says, make sure you have your AC button on and your recirc switched off. And then everybody was fine. On some cars like this Toyota I'm going to show you, if you try to have it on defrost and have the recirc turned on, it'll automatically override it. When you put recirc on, it sounds like more airflow, but what that's doing is it's just recirculating all of the humidity, all of the, you know, breath and mouth breathing that you've been doing. It just circulates that through the car, and so then you don't get any real defrost. When you add fresh air, it's actually pushing out some of the humid air, and it works much, much better. So it's not doing it. It's overriding it, probably because it's in the defrost position. Our car's getting smarter. Is that what all that computerized fangled stuff is? So then I switch it to defrost and it's like, oh no you didn't. Look at that, this smart little car. See, I'm telling you true. So a lot of manufacturers have figured it out. A lot of people don't know that, and they have to put stickers and overrides and all that kind of stuff, but now you are smart and you can figure that out for yourself. Another thing that you want to do is check your cabin air filter. A lot of times on these newer cars, you'll have a cabin air filter. So like here's the intake for the thing here, and there's all these leaves and junk, you know, that gets in there. And naturally there's screens and stuff to keep the things out, but those filters get blocked up, and if that happens then you don't have very good airflow. No airflow means that you're not going to be able to see through your windshield very well, at least not more than about this far. Get good airflow, it clears the whole thing. So one of the overlooked winterizing things that you can do for your car is all summer long you've got your blower motor, which is behind your glove box on most cars, that's just blowing all kinds of stuff in. Where the intake for that is up here where all the leaves and everything collect. Case in point, you got sticks, leaves, and all of this junk that gets in there, and some of it gets sucked through and gets put through your HVAC system. Now before it goes through the blower motor, you've got a filter on most newer cars. It's called the cabin air filter. Now if the cabin air filter gets blocked off, then the vehicle doesn't get as good airflow and your defrost won't work as well. So there's some leaves and some dirt and junk in this one. Man, these cabin filters, they collect leaves like a botanist. But basically by replacing this, it gives you better airflow. Better airflow means a cleaner windshield. Now it's one thing to have this be clean, but it's another thing to have the blower motor work at all. You see we've got the key turned on here. It's in the on position. We go to turn the blower motor on, and there's nothing. I mean, nothing. So I'm pulling out this filter. I go to spin it and it kicks on and goes, but otherwise it just doesn't go at all. If you want to have your defrost work, you know, you got to have good heat through the heater core, having air conditioning, fresh air, or even just crack your window a little bit. But anyway, just even a little fresh air like that, or even that much, can make all the difference in the world, just having a little bit of a gap. So like I say in the other video, I think I showed some other examples. If you have the AC button turned on and you have the recirculation turned off, your defrost is going to work so much better. And sometimes having a little bit of a mix, you know, not all the way hot, but being about like that and like that is great. And then oftentimes people want their feet warm, so it's important to have winter or catch type floor mats. If your floor mats can catch the water so you can drain it out, then you're in great shape. If you have fabric ones like this, then they soak, and then that just basically, when the heater is blowing on your feet and on the defrost, it causes this to warm up and just make a fog, and it fogs up your windows, and then it can freeze, and then you've got to take your scraper. Good job, Chris, you got your scraper going. Way to go, man. But you got to do the inside of the windows too, so that's not any fun for anybody, nor is it safe to do while you're driving. Pull over. So anyway, hope you found this helpful, and these are good tips for defrost. You got to have full antifreeze. As I covered it in the antifreeze video, but I'll just cover it again. I would say probably 80 to 90% of the cars that come into me in the wintertime and say, my heater doesn't work, it just blows cold. Almost every time I'll go to take off the cap on the radiator, or the tank cap if it only has that. But this has both. It's got the little tank here. Look at the side line on this and see what it says to do cold. Sometimes you have to shine a flashlight down that. Now his is totally full. You can see that there's antifreeze there. You shake it, you see it there. But if somebody's heater doesn't work 90% of the time, this is drained to the point where it's down several inches, and that air gets trapped in the heater core. So you've got a radiator in the front, and then you've got hoses that carry the antifreeze into the engine. But then you also have hoses that go a little bit further. These are the heater hoses that go to the heater core. So if you have air, see how high this is compared to the engine? So if there's air trapped in the upper portion of this, there's also going to be air trapped in the heater core. Well, if the blower motor is blowing across the mini radiator, you can see the little fins and everything. That's exactly the way the heater core is. Just like a little radiator. You got big radiator hoses, you got little radiator hoses basically. These are heater core hoses, that's their real name, but they just go to a little miniature radiator, and then they've got a little fan here, just like you've got a fan here. This one cools the engine, you know, at the radiator. That's basically the way the blower motor works. The fan's shaped a little different, but it does the same thing. It blows across that, takes some of that engine heat with the antifreeze, sends it in a loop, and blows it onto your windshield or your face or wherever you want it to go. See, here's the intake for it. If I put the camera here, you can kind of hear, and you can even see a little light through where that filter that's now sitting on the dashboard goes. So it's a pretty simple system. It's not super overcomplicated, and that's how it works, and that's how you get your car ready for winter with the defrost stuff. I'm going to show you a little bit more about the defrost grids, like on your back window. Does this even have, yeah. See, most cars will have rear defrost, and it's really nice to be able to get that going. I'll show you how to do a repair on that and a little bit more. So on the back of your car, and sometimes on the side, and sometimes where your wiper lives on the windshield, you'll have a defrost grid. These things are awesome when it's wintertime because they can help to defrost. Now obviously they're not awesome for if you're doing window tint removal, because you got to take the tint off and it's stuck right to these grids. But if these grids quit working, it could be one of a couple of things. For one, it could be where the little connectors are for it. So when you look up in here, you can see where it's got a little connector that connects right onto that tab there, and then it's soldered on there. This vehicle's been in an accident. I pulled down the other side and it was all burn marks from welding. So probably the back window was replaced and that wasn't ever fixed. So what you want to do is you want to heat the glass and the metal and then introduce the solder. And if you do it just right, the solder will be introduced. You don't want a whole lot of smoke. So you just want to be quick with it and just get a little button of solder in each location. Best way to do it is to get the solder to stick to the glass first and then solder to the little tab that the wire goes on, and just get it to stay. This one took 2 people because so much of it was gone and I couldn't get through the stuff here to get it to stick. We had to use the old location and just use a lot of solder. And so sometimes those will break off, especially on a Suburban or SUV or something like that. But you got all of these grids, and the window tint actually helps hold those together and protects them so that they don't get hit with anything. But say you've got a dog in the back and the dog's huge and it's got big claws and it just is so happy to see you, so it's trying to get through here. Or you leave him in the car and you go in the store. And of course you cracked your window because you care about your dog. You don't want it to overheat or not be able to breathe. So anyway, he scratches all this stuff up. Now your rear defrost doesn't work. Well, have I got the thing for you? Check this out. So this is the product I'm talking about. It's a professional repair systems from Permatex, complete window repair. I'm not here to sell it. I don't get any money from any of that kind of stuff. But it has all these different cleaners and everything. And then that teeny tiny little bottle and that brush is the main attraction. And you can see it's kind of a copper color. Typically they are made out of copper. If one of these grids breaks here, it seems like it wipes out this whole section. So you just use this and paint it back on. You see he's got it all demonstrated, so I'm not going to bother opening this. But basically it's got a little template to where you can lay it on there, and then that completes the circuit. Whereas you had an open circuit, a broken line, broken wire, basically, you can paint on a new one.
Click like, click subscribe, leave a comment. Thanks.